Hello everyone, it's Reid, and this is my first Facebook Live video in a little bit more than a year, and I should say right off the bat that I am terrified, I am feeling vulnerable, and I am unsure about so many things. So much unsure that I'm not going to be reading your comments as they come up. And I wrote down a bunch of stuff because I don't want to forget some important things, since this is my first Facebook Live video in a year. And I just want to say thank you for everybody who's watching. And I also want to share that I think the vulnerability and the fear that I'm going through right now is part of the reason why I'm doing the video today. And I also checked in with some very smart people who support me, and they kind of concluded that I'm not going to be more ready than I am. And I have been waiting a while, a couple of weeks, to do a video, and was just really unsure. And these people who are very important to me and supportive were like, that's part of the thing. Like, be vulnerable, be afraid that you're gonna fuck up. So I apologize in advance for reading some of this, but it'll just be easier. So for those of you who are tuning in or who are watching this in the future and that you didn't know, the reason it's been a year is I stepped down from teaching, and I stepped down from being on social media about a year ago, because some really brave people came forward and shared that I had harmed them. And I wanted to take that very, very seriously. And I regret those harms tremendously. And so I began an accountability process that had its roots in restorative justice, and formed and got support from a lot of amazing people. Some of these people are named throughout this process. A lot of people who contributed a lot of labor and energy. They were not named in this process. A lot of them wanted to be anonymous. A lot of people didn't want recognition of any sort. And all of this process got kind of captured and cataloged in a Medium blog, which everyone can go check out. And I implore you to share it with people. And the short URL is tinyurl.com/read process. And that'll send you to the accountability blog on Medium. So I want to thank all the people who are courageous and generous, and how my community showed up, and all the support I got, and all the support that you all gave each other, and all the conversations and ways that people showed up in this process over this past year. None of this would have been possible without you all. And if you're just joining this process now and you're like, what the fuck, what's been going on? Please go check out the blog, and then be a part of this. There's a lot. And, take care of yourself at the same time that you're doing this. The Medium blog has a lot of really great resources there. So again, I feel like I'm repeating myself, but please read it if and as you have bandwidth for it. And please go and make sure that you read the 2 posts that were made by the Survivor Support Pod. Those links and links to resources are in the accountability blog, so go check those things out. And again, that's tinyurl.com/read process. So I also want to apologize in advance, because I see a lot of people commenting. I'm more than happy for questions, and a lot of my answers to a lot of questions that I've been getting over this year is go check out the blog. I apologize in advance if I sound like I'm on repeat, and I keep pointing people towards the blog. And there's a reason for that. When I can, I'll point to specific blog posts and resources, but I might not have the bandwidth for that. But the reason why I'm not going to try to answer everyone's questions is because it's better for me to leave the job of restorative and transformational justice and community accountability processes, to leave it to the people who teach those things and who do those things for a living and who are trained in those things. I am not trained in those processes, and I'm not an expert in any of that. And so like me inserting my opinion or my views isn't really appropriate, and it's probably not going to be the best advice. So I'm just not going to do it. So I'm not trying to ignore you or shut you down or get you to do work by sending you to the blog. But the resources there are, a lot of people contributed in getting those resources together. And that's a list that's just going to keep growing. And that list is always going to be incomplete. But it's a great place to start. I have also been told that coming back into community is going to be bumpy. A lot of my support is like, it's just gonna feel like shit. And you know what? They were right. It feels like shit. And it feels bumpy and it feels weird. And I just want to let people know that I didn't wake up one morning and decide that it was time for me to come back. The pods who were involved in this entire process helped decide when the formal accountability process arrived at a conclusion, and then we mapped out a reintegration plan, my pod and I, and started putting that into place. And basically what you're doing right now is you're witnessing some of the final stages of that reintegration happening. So it's happening. This is it. I've also been told and had lots of conversations around this that obviously people are going to have their feelings about this. Some people will have negative feelings. Some people will be having positive feelings. A lot of people will have neutral feelings. A lot of people won't even know that this whole thing happened. And so they're probably not going to have any feelings whatsoever. What I want to ask you all is to ask yourself, what is it that you need? And like, not what is it you need from me, but what is it that you need for yourself? And how can you get those needs met from your support systems, from your community and the people that you have connection with? I'm not going to be able to see what's missing in my reintegration until I'm actively coming back into community. I'm gonna miss things. I'm not gonna be able to think of everything beforehand or do it perfectly, especially since this is a process I've never done before. So I just don't know what I don't know, and that's not an excuse. And I'm also not gonna be able to get all the valuable insights and feedback from my community until I'm doing it and coming back in. So me just sitting in my home worrying about everything actually doesn't benefit anyone. And Angel Arioja, who's part of my accountability pod, was basically, said that like there has to be a way forward, or else like there has to be a way forward, because that's what justice looks like. Like, it's forward, and it doesn't always feel great. So people are going to have their feelings. I'm not going to be able to see what I'm missing until it's happening, until it gets pointed out to me, and I'll take responsibility for that, and I apologize in advance. It's also important for me to share with you all that I'm not doing this alone. I have support as I'm coming back into community and into teaching. It's not like I'm done, I'm back, and I'm just doing this on my own. I have support, and I think that's important to share. So as I come back into community and to teaching, I'm not doing this solo. and I'm getting that support to help me stay present with and make sure that my actions are in alignment with my values. And again, if you have questions, refer to the accountability blog, especially the last 2 or 3 posts. If you're coming in new, like that will help you kind of figure out how things are happening. And basically what you're witnessing right now is my imperfect, ever-moving way forward. Learning what I learned in this last year and trying to implement it. And continually, like, trying to do my best. And as I learn how to do better, like, applying that and trying to do my best in that way. Starting tonight. One of the other reasons for doing this video is starting tonight, you might begin to see more of me online, and you might begin to see announcements for events that I'm going to be appearing at or teaching at. You'll also start seeing some events on social media and things like that I'm organizing. Sex Geek Summer Camp is going to be one of them. And I felt like it was a good idea to give everybody a heads up that stuff's happening. Mostly because I'm trying to also not surprise a bunch of people who maybe have been present to this whole process or took some time off and now all of a sudden like Reid's back. I just think it's good to give people a heads up. You also begin to see more social media posts from me. I'm going to start engaging and participating in social media more. So you'll see stuff about my content and some thoughts, and there's a bunch of content in doing a content audit for this year that there are things I made a lot of tweaks and improvements to, because there was a lot that I was shown that I wasn't considering and things that were missing in my advice and in my content. So I will be like sharing that stuff with you and asking people to go take a look at it. So don't be surprised when you see that happening. I will also be sharing just my thoughts and feelings and life and kind of coming back into being a participant in social media. You'll also see me posting a lot of resources and articles about things that I found helpful during my whole accountability process. It wasn't really appropriate for me to be sharing all that stuff while I was doing a lot of deep work, but I want to highlight some of the things that were really useful for me, and just I'm not going to say a lot about how or why they were useful. I'm just going to highlight the things I think really resonate for me and just kind of encourage you to go and do your own reading and do your own looking into those resources. The email for my accountability pod is still active. So Angel wanted me to let you all know that, and I think it's important. So the email is still active, it's still being checked, and the email I'll put in the comments and in the description, but it's rmpod, P-O-D, 2018@gmail.com. And why this is important for me to tell you is, like, just because the formal process is ended, like, all of the access that you have for being able to give feedback and being able to share if you have concerns or complaints or questions, those lines are still open. So, like, it's important to have an external way for people to give feedback. Unfortunately, there is not an external way for people to control my process or control me coming back into community. If anyone has anything that feels pressing, like, please just drop the pod a line at the email. It will be read and it will be answered. It might take a couple of days, so apologies in advance. Please be patient and appreciate the pod in their turnaround time. An accountability process and a process like this coming to a close and moving into somebody coming back into community, like what's going on right now, like, this is not how my community of sex educators and sex positive professionals, like, we've never not anywhere that me or the pod can find. We haven't run into this happening in quite this way. So like this is happening and it's all new. And this is not how we've done things in the past. So this is a new thing that's being tried out in real time. And so this is new for me. It's new for a lot of the people in the community. And it's going to be bumpy. And that's not a promise, but that's pretty much a prediction. But it makes sense that trying on new things and trying to move forward into new spaces, like that's going to be bumpy, and we're going to fuck it up, and I'm going to fuck it up, and like just be prepared, and let's hope for the best and prepare for the worst. And I also can't imagine how to do this in a way that's more comfortable. I just don't know. Because of all the hard work, the courage, and the generosity of so many people, hopefully we now have better choices and actions that we can take for ways to make things better, perhaps. And I just want to encourage all of us to keep reminding ourselves that we have these new choices, and let's keep practicing them, and let's keep sharing them with our communities and loved ones. And none of this was done perfectly. Like this attempt and what we're experiencing and doing now and what I'm trying to show up for, like let's keep building and improving on it, and use it constructively, and remind each other to check these things out, and let's keep supporting each other in forging new and better ways to show up and to apply these principles. And if you can, on a good day, please try to be kind to yourself and kind to others. And as I shared in the final blog post on the accountability blog, I'm also reserving the right to have and assert my own boundaries on things. And so I just want you all to know that even if I don't respond to every comment, or if I moderate comments more than I've done in years past, I'm doing that as a form of self-care for myself, and I will try to show up and be as powerful and as grounded and strong as I can. But please know that I appreciate you all so much. And I'm going to end it there. Those are my notes, and I'll add a description after this. And I just want to say thank you all for tuning in. Please feel free to share this and post it wherever you need to post it. And please, again, go back if you haven't already and check out the accountability blog. A lot of people put a lot of work into this, and so many people were a part of this process, in front of and behind the scenes. And I feel like I have grown a lot in a year, and I hope it helps. It's definitely helped me, and I can't speak to anybody else's experiences. So thanks a lot, everyone, and I'll see you on another Facebook Live again soon. Bye now.